Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you happen to be around the world. And those of you that aren't blocked by the managed challenge from our Cloudflare rules, we had some fun with that in the pre-show. Glad you're here with us today for Office Hours. My name is Nathan Ingram. Every Thursday, I open the doors to the virtual office, and you guys and ladies get to come in and ask whatever questions you want. This is part of Hosting.com's Agency Success, where we are devoted to giving agency owners and anyone, solopreneurs, small team, large team, whoever you are, if you're doing work with clients, the whole purpose of the Agency Success Program is to give you the tools with information and community to do better at what you do. So glad you're here for Office Hours. This is my favorite part of the week. We have several things to talk about, many questions in the queue today. I'm going to drop in one more time our link bundle as well as the link to ask questions there in the chat. We currently have, as of this very moment, 16 questions in the list. And let's go ahead and get started, shall we? You can, by the way, ask questions at any time of the week by going to WP Nathan and clicking the Ask a Question button. This will let you ask whatever you want, and we take those questions generally in the order they are received. All right, so a few interesting little bits of news that I'll share with you today as we get started, as is our habit. How many of you saw this story? You know that heist that happened at the Louvre a couple of weeks ago? Well, it turns out that the Louvre's password for their video security was Louvre. What can you say? I love this story. I mean, they could have done something secure like Louvre 1, right? So you're asking for it, and this is a great opportunity if you talk to your clients to send out a little blurb in your email about, you know what, this is why password security is important. Because the Louvre lost many hundreds of thousands, however much it was, because of the password Louvre. Anyway, all right, here's another interesting story that I found recently. Finally, Apple, I'm an Apple person, finally, Apple is actually going to have a Siri that actually does something helpful. So the new Siri is to be powered by Google Gemini AI, which is just weird, but Gemini is developing for Google a large language model that will sit in Apple server. So Google won't have access to your information. It will be in Apple's ecosystem, which is generally secure, and they are pretty privacy first. So this is interesting, and that's supposed to happen next week. Gemini is pretty darn good if you haven't played around with it much. One more little bit of WordPress-oriented news. Did you see this one? The trademark battles continue now as Automatic has sent a cease and desist letter to Kevin Geary, who is most recently known as the developer of now it just dropped out of my head. What is the thing? Etch. Thank you very much. I don't know why that just left my head. So Kevin is very vocal and visible in the social channels with this new Etch system that he's building. His previous products, he has a few. One of them, Automatic CSS. Yeah, I'm wondering why this didn't happen before now, to be honest. So, you know, there's a lot of back and forth on social media about this, but Automatic is asking Kevin to not use the word automatic in his product name. So I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know that they Automatic with 2 T's doesn't own the trademark to Automatic with 1 T, but it's not like you could, launch a soft drink called Coca-Cola either, right? I don't know. Like you couldn't do that. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. One more little bit of news that I will mention to you before we dive into our questions for today. I just finished today the prep for this fun live stream that hosting.com is allowing me to do. This is coming up next week. It is particularly geared to DIY store owners. But if you're managing WooCommerce sites, it might be worth a listen to you. Just know that we're going to be talking to more DIY type people and not professional web developers. But this is preparing your WooCommerce store for the holidays. And so maybe even if you have a client that is kind of runs their own store and you provide some backup, send them the link for this. It's going to be a lot of fun. One of the big things we're going to be talking about is how great Rocket.net is for WooCommerce. Let me just show you an example of this. So I have two versions of a store. I have store.wp, can't type, wpnathan.com. Now, this is on hosting.com's regular shared web hosting, right? So it's just shared hosting, which is actually pretty darn good for shared with just out of the box speed. I have another store that I've called Rocket Store. And take a look at the difference here in the page speed insights. I'm just going to get this running. This is out of the box, standard shared hosting versus Rocket.net. So let's see how this does. Pretty amazing. As it's now, of course, it's taken forever. Yeah, look at that. Mobile score on this is just a Cadence store template. You know, we just threw up a template site. 94 out of the box on mobile. It's pretty good versus shared, which is going to be significantly less, as you can tell. So just moving that site over to Rocket. Wow. And desktop, look at that. It's usually 100. And this, I don't know what it's flagging for accessibility here, because here it's an identical site and it's different. I mean, who knows, these automated scanners, right? But anyway, magnificent speed difference just moving over to Rocket.net. So we're going to talk all about some different strategies to prepare a WooCommerce store for the holiday rush. And that's coming up on Tuesday. So if you haven't signed up for that yet, make sure you use upcoming.myagencysuccess.com right here in this link bundle, and dive in right here for this November 11th, preparing your WooCommerce store. All right, with that, I believe it is time for us to get into some questions. So let's start today with Vern. Vern, are you here, sir? Vern is here. All right. Vern says, I just learned today, October the 30th, in office hours, how all the chats are archived along with the YouTube videos for most live streams. Thank you. Yes. But do you archive and make available Zoom Q&A? No, we don't, because it's more complicated. You can't export, like Zoom Q&A has to come out in a spreadsheet, and it's a little more, it's just weirder. So yes, we are archiving, and I'll just show you here. This is the Google Drive folder that everybody has access to at downloads.myagencysuccess.com, which I can't seem to paste in the chat for whatever reason. Right there. That leads you to this folder that has all the slide decks for all the things that we've done. And therein also lies a folder of chat logs. Now, the chat logs are only for live streams that I've been part of, because I can just drag those in. We don't, so the other ones may not have a chat log saved, but this will at least get you access to that information, which I know some of you really like. All righty. So thank you for that one, Vern. Next up is Beth Livingston. Beth, are you here? Let's see. Beth is here. All right. Okay, Beth, when and how often should I resubmit a sitemap to the search engines? Great question. Now, Beth, let's make sure we're all talking about the same thing, and we're talking about the search engine sitemap, right? The one at sitemap.xml generally, or if you're using like Yoast, it's going to put it here. We're talking about this sitemap, right? Okay. So once you submit it to Google, as long as it doesn't change, doesn't need to be resubmitted. Even if you deploy a new site and the sitemap location's in the same place, you don't have to change it. You can find all of that in Google Search Console under sitemaps. You should see your sitemap there, and that's it. Yeah. So the best practice here, see, this is Yoast SEO puts their sitemap at sitemap_index.xml, but the standard location of sitemap being sitemap.xml redirects. Yoast is going to redirect that to its index of sitemaps, which contains, the way they do it is each post type has its own sitemap, which is a good practice. A lot of other SEO plugins do it that way as well. Okay, so does that answer your question? You don't worry about it, basically. Once it's submitted, unless that URL changes, you don't have to change it. All right, next question is also Beth. Beth says, I missed a training where you talked about some sort of configuration so that LLMs might cite you or something like that. Can you give me the Reader's Digest version and then point to where you talked about that in detail? I don't think that was me. I think that was maybe that may have been Daphne's live stream about SEO for LLMs. But you know, so a lot of the talk these days is about LLMs.txt. So this is a text file that some SEO plugins will generate now that is not officially supported. It's sort of kind of used by some AI engines. I know ChatGPT does, for example. We talked about LLMs.txt in an office hours, but there's not really a formalized, agreed upon. It's not like a protocol. This is just something some people are doing. So it's not 100% effective, nor is it an agreed upon standard. All right. Okay, looks like Melanie gave Beth a link to the office hours where we talked about that. So fantastic. All right, one more from Beth. What might the reason be that I am occasionally getting the HTTP "this site is not safe" message when I try to access either one of my sites that has always been HTTPS, or sometimes two externally globally recognized site? Once I say continue, in both instances, the URL is HTTPS. That's weird. Beth, are you using a VPN when this happens? No. Huh. What could cause this? We haven't done this in a while, but perhaps it is the gremlins. Um, well, Melanie has a good idea there, but I think it's not I mean, it's always a good idea to do like Melanie says and make sure that all your images are secured and it's under HTTPS. But this sounds like it's when the traffic's coming to the site the first time, you're getting that browser alert that traffic is insecure. Are you behind Cloudflare, Beth? Do you have the always SSL setting on? Let's see if I can actually log in here without hassle. Cloudflare does have a setting that's like a force SSL, but you're saying it's other sites too. I don't know what to tell you there. I've never seen that. Has anybody else seen that? Hmm. I'm not sure why that would be, Beth. Okay, Sue's saying she's seen it if Chrome is set to force HTTPS. I don't know. I've not seen that. I think that's the default now in Chrome. So that is odd. I'll look for it and try to notice it. Yeah. All right. Next up is Alvin. So again, if you have a question to ask, please use the Ask an Office Hours question link. All right, Alvin, you're saying skip this one? Okay, this is the Cloudflare email routing question. You got that one solved? Think it's worth every other folks seeing it? All right, we'll just quick paste it. And if we don't know what the answer is, then we'll let Alvin tell us what he figured out. How reliable is Cloudflare email routing? You notice it now has DKIM and SPF records to help with deliverability. However, I have some reservations about forwarding being unpredictable. Yeah. Client is thinking of switching to using free Gmail as email, send as email feature with domain name email forwarding through Cloudflare. Okay, so that can all work. But just be like some of the send as features may not work with certain email apps because Gmail is phasing out POP3. So it can work, especially, I mean, the email routing where it just sends over to, it comes into info at and it goes to that Gmail address. That 100% works. The tricky bit is making the send as out of Gmail work correctly. And if the client doesn't care about that, then don't worry about it. Just the forwarding part works fine. Now, the other option you may consider here, honestly, hosting.com has really good and really inexpensive emails. I mean, look, well, it's half price for the first term, but I mean, $4 a month for 5 inboxes. I mean, it's super cheap and this really works. So this is a good option. I don't want to spend $5 a month per mailbox for Google Workspace or 8 or however much they're charging now, right? This is really good email with support, and it's really inexpensive for what you get. I mean, look at this down here, $9 a month, and you get all of this stuff, including scheduling, chat. It's pretty darn good. Okay. Next, also Alvin, in which he told me to disregard the previous question. All right. Alvin says a potential client reached out, a triathlon club site. They wanted to know if it's possible to add event registration and handle memberships and have the capability to send email and text reminders for events that they're registered. And the answer is sure. Anything's possible. What's your budget, right? They are using WordPress and the events calendar. Is this the Modern Tribe events calendar? They're looking for a way to improve the calendar. They need to investigate further what they meant by that exactly. Team event registration, payments, memberships is being handled separately by this. All right. So let me initial thought is to have events registration, payments stay outside of WordPress and let that SaaS handle everything. Is there a WordPress plus plugin combo that can handle that functionality? Okay. Yes, you could totally build this if you wanted to. Now, it really depends on, see, Team Snap is handling all of their payments right now. Is that right? So like the question, these sorts of things always come up of, there's a SaaS that's doing all these things. It's a custom built SaaS for this niche and it's working. Could you build something like that or, insert your solution here for whatever client, could I build something like this SaaS in WordPress? And the answer is generally always sure. But the question is, do you want to hate WordPress later? Because when you start building this functionality in WordPress, it's all possible, but it's like, how breakable and how fragile is this? Like you could totally add code and do things and make it work, but like inevitably, some weird little something is going to happen right on the day when they're getting 100 registrants and it breaks and now you've got problems with the client and whatever. So usually in these sorts of situations, I would say I would not use WordPress for this. Like you could, sure. The delta in this for me is there specific content, resources, that sort of thing that you would need to have on the website just for those members? In that case, WordPress, a content management system, is a great solution for that. WordPress is not out of the gate an event management system. You can make it do that. It's just not going to be as good as a custom built system just for that purpose. Does that make sense? So if they had like a library of content that was just for their members, then sure, in that case, it might make sense to build the membership around WordPress and then have links out, just for members, that sort of thing. So yeah, does that help like think through that decision-making process? I would not do this in WordPress if I were you. Okay, great question. Yeah, unless you just want to hate WordPress later. Okay. Ben Bradley is up next. Hey, Ben. All right, Ben, post-migration to Metabox. Oh, the pods migration. Okay, so we talked about this last week with that weird thing where Ben ran the plugin that migrates pods to Metabox, and then things disappeared. So he solved the problem with a custom post type not showing up correctly. It was the publicly queryable. Yes, that's a checkbox. It has to be turned on. Yes, so you do have to make it publicly queryable if you want it to be queryable by the public. Yeah. So it's right here. And generally, this is in the Metabox settings in the advanced section. I think that's on by default. I think you have to tell it not to be publicly queryable. It wasn't in your case. So I wonder if something with that import made it not publicly queryable. That's weird. So yeah, that'll do it. Good catch. All right. Thank you for that follow-up, sir. That's weird that it wasn't. Okay, next up is Beth Livingston. Beth knows me too well, and she says, please read the entire question, because sometimes I start commenting too early. As I begin to retire from my agency, I'm fairly certain my furniture store client will be taking over the hosting and maintenance of their site themselves. The product manager is highly technical and perfectly capable of doing this, but back-end stuff is new to him. I'm moving all my sites to hosting.com and recommended they move their site there as well. While I know you do micro-agency business coaching, can you offer private technical coaching? Demo and I will ensure that they get the right hosting solution and moved over, but can he purchase time for, okay, this should probably have been an email to me, Beth. I'll be happy to chat with you about this, but office hours, probably not the venue. The answer is probably yes. We'll see. I don't know. It depends on the situation. I would, however, recommend, like, this is the perfect case for moving this site to rocket.net. Move this site to rocket.net. And they have a deal going right now where it is not showing on the homepage. It is 6 months. If you buy a year, you get 6 months free. So it's basically half price the first year. And this is the perfect solution for this, where there's a semi-technical, maybe not WordPress knowledgeable, super tech detail, whatever person in the client. This is a perfect case for rocket.net. Yeah, so push them that direction. And yeah. So do you get 18 months for paying for 12 months? That's not how they're wording it. Hang on a minute. It's, hang on. Let me find the link. It is 12 months for the price of 6 months, I think is how it's wording. It is right here. It's the Black Friday. Oh, come on. The Black Friday deal. I'm going to drop the link in here. For those that aren't aware, rocket.net is part of the hosting.com family of things. Yeah, so it's $1 for the first month, or annual plans get 6 months free, meaning 50% off for the first year. Oh, I add an extra slash at the end because I fat fingered the enter key. There you go. All right, so I would push them this way, Beth, and this is ideal for WooCommerce sites. We're going to be talking about this on Tuesday. The reason that Rocket.net is so good for WooCommerce sites, and Beth, this specifically applies to your furniture store client. They have, if I can find the spot where they talk about this, maybe it's under the fast page. Is it solutions? I don't know. The bottom line is they have unlimited PHP workers. And if you know anything about WooCommerce tech at all, PHP workers is probably the single thing that makes WooCommerce faster. It just handles great traffic. And so with unlimited PHP workers, wow, it's super fast for WooCommerce. So give that a quick look. Okie dokie. Let's move on to the next question from Gene. Gene is up next. Gene, are you here? Hey, Gene. All right. Gene is getting ready to launch a redesigned client site, and it's a different process than usual. I haven't launched to a live domain in a long time. Am I overthinking this process? Okay, here we go. Let's dive into Gene's thought process. The current live site is hosted with the IT company the client works with. The DNS is also there. The hosting will be moving to my hosting. Good for you. Along with the launch, but I want to buffer the timing so it doesn't happen all at once and break. Gene, help me understand what you mean by buffer the timing. Can you just drop that in the chat while I keep reading? All right, this is the order I am planning. Number one, migrate a copy of the current site to my server on the same domain. Yes. Request the I team to point the DNS to the new hosting server. Yes. Wait for okay, you won't have probably you won't have propagation issues in this movement. So when you have propagation, it's usually when you change name servers, like a 48-hour change, you rarely see that anymore. It's usually 24 hours or less, and then really only when you change the name server. In this case, they're going to be changing the A record for the root domain and make sure the www is a C name pointing to the domain name itself. We covered all of this in the DNS live stream last week. So I would recommend that you go back and take a look at that. It is posted on YouTube. Just go to replays.myagencysuccess.com. And you will find here demystifying DNS. So we covered all of this, I would refresh myself on this if I were you. So you will put the site where it's going to be and make sure it's updated to the correct domain name. Gene, as I recall, are you using Solid Backups? Would you be using Solid Backups as the tool to migrate it? Okay, so in the Solid Backup migration and the import buddy process, there's a place in that process where you get to tell it the new site location. And even though it is at some other place right now and it's going to pre-fill that, you can change that option to the new finalized site URL, whatever it's going to be, right? And so you can update it there. So then it does all the database updates at that point for the correct launched domain. I also gave a resource in that DNS live stream that lets you create a temporary link to preview the site on the live domain while it's someplace else. So just go back and look at that DNS live stream, and all of that is there. So at this point, what you'll do is once the site is over there and migrated, then you will tell the IT team to redirect the DNS. After that, no, you won't have to do any of this. So it's just really these two steps. These two steps are all you're going to have to do. Migrate the site as though the brand new site that you're in development, migrate it to the new space on your server where that new domain is going to point. Migrate it as though it's going to be that new domain name in the migration wizard. Then when the IT team points it there, it will just work. Yeah, thank you, Melanie. That's the tool that I gave, hostsclick.com or hosts.click. right here. This lets you put in the IP address of the new server and the domain name that the site is going to be, and it will create a URL. It's a replacement for updating your hosts file on your computer, if anybody's familiar with that. Gene, why will they use A records rather than, okay, so Gene, that's the name servers probably aren't going to change here because they manage the DNS at the IT company. All they're going to do is point the A record so that the web traffic goes to your new server. What I'd recommend is watching that Demystifying DNS live stream, and that's likely going to answer all of these questions. It's probably more than I can get to in office hours, but that whole live stream was about all of these questions that you're asking right now. Yeah. And if you want the slide deck, downloads.myagencysuccess.com. I'm going to drop that link bundle back in the chat with all of those links. So DNS is complicated. It is the thing that always seems to mess up, and it's easy to do. Even folks like me that have been doing DNS forever and ever still mess it up. So make sure you watch that, and give you it'll reorient you to some of the things about DNS. Okie dokie. Next up is Ben Bradley. Has anyone started using N8N? I've just been looking into this. Ben said, have you heard good things about it? Yes, I have. I've heard one good thing with someone hosting it themselves on a VPS and using AI with their own data. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with N8N, the closest comparison that I can make is it's kind of like a Zapier that's self-hosted. So you can build these workflows. It's like an open sourced Zapier. Just don't expect it to be super user friendly like Zapier is. It's not bad, and you can figure it out. But there is a learning curve for sure working with N8N. The good news is that ChatGPT or Claude or your favorite AI tool can instruct you on how to do things. So it's pretty good. I don't have any firsthand experience yet. It's one of the things I might tinker around with when I take a break at the end of the year. I usually do that. Last couple of weeks of December, I'll take a break, and I usually piddle around with some little technical project, and this might be what I play with. So yes, I've heard great things about it, and it is quite interesting. Thanks for bringing that up, Ben. All right, next up is Class. Class, are you here? Hello, Class. All right, talking about Cloudflare security rules. I've applied 5 security rules from the Cloudflare for Agencies training, and this goes back to a previous iteration of my work. 2 things. Number 1, when I go to log into the site, I get a managed challenge. That's normal, right? Yeah, because in those Cloudflare rules I suggested way back when in that course that was through the Solid Academy, it's the 5th rule in the list. So, it gives a bunch of things to match what the login page might be. And at the network level at Cloudflare, at the DNS level, it is challenging all of that traffic with a managed challenge, which is essentially like a turnstile, but not a widget. Turnstile is actually a widget on a page. The function behind turnstile is the managed challenge that happens at the DNS level. So yes, that is correct. And what that lets you do, by the way, is not have to have a CAPTCHA of any kind on the login page itself. And that's good because I want to filter all that stuff out at the network level. Number 2, once I'm logged into the site and click log out, a managed challenge pops up before the logout happens. Yeah, that can happen. And there is a way around that I've just never decided to fool around with. And you can do that. You just have to look at the IP or the URL. This action equals log out right here. Action equals log out. So we'll just do it right here. So I'm going to go into this security rule and look at that 5th rule. Log out. Okay, this actually fixes that. So let me look at your rule. I've updated my rules since we did that course a while back. Yeah. Well, no, your query string does not contain logout. That should have caught it. Let's try that one more time. Logged out. Query string does not contain logged out. Ah, that's what it is. It should be logged out, not log out. That's the issue. You make sure nothing else is going to conflict with that. Yep, that should work. So now when we log out, that should no longer be an issue. Just update that to logged out instead of log out. Yeah, that did it. So just change this to logged out. Is that good, class? Of course, now I just logged out of everything. All right. Next up is also class. Class says, recently sites went down on my VPS, one after another until all were down. Excellent. Contacted support and they got everything back up again. They said the reason sites went down was PHP FPM max children exceeded. Yep. And they increased the number to get things working, which leads to a few questions. What might have prompted max children to all of a sudden be exceeded? The server has been stable for months. I had to run weekly updates on a few sites when the site started going down. That's probably what it was. Massive. Was it like a big plugin that updated, class, like WooCommerce or some big plugin that had to be updated? That could be it. I don't know. We would have to have actually seen the situation with what plugins were being updated. But it's a fair question. I wonder why now. Where in cPanel WHM can you see what FPM is set to, and how do you determine the best number? Okay, all of this is why you need great hosting support. Because PHP FPM, if it's enabled, can be great. It can also be really, really bad if it's misconfigured. And so this is one of those things that I choose not to know how it works, other than this is something I need to ask the server admins to look at the overall traffic history of the server and make sure that PHP FPM is optimized. Now, when we did this many years ago on a liquid web server, it took a month to get it all optimized correctly. We'd have issues with sites going down or the problem here, problem there. But once they finally got it dialed in, it worked. So yeah, it does. There's not like a bulletproof, like one silver bullet setting that's going to be the right answer for everything. Yeah, it does seem odd. Now, I would not have jumped to updates would be the culprit. It could be. Now, if you said that's when the site started going down, then yeah, maybe that was the problem. My initial thought would be you're getting some sort of DDoS attack on the server. Like the resources for the server are being gobbled up by something. And the question is, do you have sites that are not behind Cloudflare on this server? And if it took a 30-minute window, as you just mentioned, yeah, that's weird that it would be updates. Updates may have exacerbated the problem. Okay, almost all are behind Cloudflare. For the sites that aren't behind Cloudflare, is there a CAPTCHA on the login page? There you go. Fix that. So that's a best practice, period. Something needs to be guarding your login page. Some sort of CAPTCHA, whether it's like we talked about, the Cloudflare managed challenge at the network level, or you use a security plugin of some sort to put a Cloudflare turnstile or Google reCAPTCHA, whatever you want to use on that WordPress login page. Because here's what happens. If you start getting hammered by people trying to log in as admin or whatever, it's going to get rejected, yes, and maybe even blocked if you have some security rules in place. But every single time that you're taking a login and now you have to query the database and return a result, and that is the slowest thing that WordPress ever does and the most resource intensive thing that WordPress does. And if that's happening 1,000 times a minute, your server resources go away. And that would absolutely show up as a PHP FPM issue. So 100% guard those laws. That's why you want every site behind Cloudflare if possible. And if it's not possible, make sure that there is a challenge of some sort. And what I would recommend for that is to use Cloudflare Turnstile. Many WordPress security plugins support that. And if not, use simple Cloudflare Turnstile for this. It's a free plugin by Elliot Sowersby right here. They had to change the name because of copyright. Simple CAPTCHA alternative with Cloudflare Turnstile. They had a copyright thing. Use this plugin and you can guard the WordPress login with this. So I bet you anything, what was happening was that you were getting attacked. And then when you ran updates, that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And Melanie's correct. And I think Stacy mentioned it too. There should be logs to support this. But yeah, you're probably getting hammered with a DDoS attack or a credential testing attack is more accurate. Okay. Does that answer your question, class? Guard that login page. All right. Jamie is next. Hey, Jamie. Oh, I'm getting these too. Just about every day now, I receive a spam Google Calendar invite that is typically related to something like your crypto empire awaits or your Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. There is, of course, an associated email, but even though it goes to spam, these unsolicited junk and calendar invites still show up. Yep. There's no way to delete them without clicking decline. And then you're replying back to verify that it was a valid email address. It's annoying. I've searched how to stop these from happening, but Google doesn't have a solution yet, other than allow calendar invites from only those in my contacts or those I've interacted with, and then you might miss. Yeah, I agree. So number one, yes, this is freaking annoying. And no, I don't have an answer for it yet. Zoom spam is another one. Zoom spam invites are, another thing. And it's not just Google Calendar, by the way. They're doing, some genius came up with this idea of, hey, what if we just send an invite to people, It is super annoying. And I get them too. I probably get one or two a week. And I've just declining is the only option now, but now they know my email address, but I guess they knew it anyway. So who cares? It is so annoying. Oh, Jeffrey's saying people are using this to get around DMARC. Right, because when they're spoofing an email, yeah, so you could send that invite without having a valid email address. That's pretty smart. Kristen saying, can't you just right click and you can't on Google Calendar. You have to decline it. It's really annoying. It's really annoying. Yeah, Jeffrey, I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're exactly right. Because the email's not coming from the spammer. The email is coming from Google or Zoom. Now they're aware of the problem, and Google has a long and star-studded history of dealing with spam. So I'm sure they're going to figure it out. But until then, it is really annoying. Yeah. And I just accidentally closed all the windows. Okay. So as I take a moment to log in, we'll get to the next question. Any other thoughts or comments on that one? Yeah, you can go through the process of reporting them to Google if you'd like. I think Google's aware of these and can match them. It's just annoying. Like you could set up a filter, like if all of the invites you're getting have to do with Bitcoin or crypto or whatever, you could filter those out with a Gmail filter. But then none of the ones I've gotten have been related to crypto. It's been something else. Yeah, it's annoying. It's 100% annoying. All right, next up is Doug. Hey, Doug. Oh, I saw this. Okay, I almost talked about this today. What do you think about this plugin? Good idea, bad idea, effect on site speed. So Matt Mullenweg actually posted about this plugin, which has gotten it some traction. And so this is a collaboration between the Internet Archive that manages the Wayback Machine and Automatic. And it is the Internet Archive Wayback Machine link fixer. And so Matt says it's designed to combat link rot. which is the gradual decay of web links as pages are moved, changed, or taken down. So what this plugin does is scan your post content on save and across existing posts to detect outbound links. For each one, it checks the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine and creates a snapshot if one isn't available. When a linked page disappears, the plugin helps preserve your user experience by redirecting visitors to a reliable archived version. So it's like broken link check, but instead of just letting you know there's a broken link, it redirects it to an Internet Archive version of that page. I don't like this. I don't like this because what if there's, is there an Internet Archive? Plus, you're like the amount of server resources. Like every time I save a page, it's scanning a links and doing whatever. I don't know. This smells like major server resource allocation problems to me. So I don't know. That's why I didn't even talk about it today. I'm not sure I would ever use this. Yeah. I also don't hold that opinion very firmly, so I could be convinced. And like Sherry's saying, if you really want to deal with broken links, then every few months run a broken link check on your site and then actually update the links to what's actually the new live page rather than an old Internet Archive page, which is slow and weird and wonky and whatever, right? Yeah. It's interesting though. All right, next up is Tanya. Hey, Tanya. All right. I am so happy Chris is here because he can answer this question. WP All Import. How does one update variable products for WooCommerce in WP All Import? Is that possible, Chris? Do you know? I don't. I don't know that that's possible. Okay, Chris says it's possible. Back up, back up, back up. Chris says you use the Now you do have to have the WooCommerce add-on, Tanya. Do you have that? WP All Import continues to amaze me with just how many amazing things that plugin can do. Okay, so Chris says there is a setting for these products have variations. There you go. That's the answer. I have done this precisely 0 times. Chris has done this many, many times in our agency work. So there you go. Oh, we've learned to be careful with. I remember this story. Uh, be careful with inventory settings because we completely trashed that one time. And make sure you have a backup. Did I mention that? Make sure you have a backup. 2 backups in 2 different places. Yeah. Probably best to do that on a dev site anyway. Have 2 backups and do it on a staging site. How's that? All right. So there you go, Tanya. All right. Next up is class. Oh, this looks interesting. Man, class is bringing the questions today. What happens when images load from the wrong website? Class recently moved 10 pages, including content and layout, from website A to website B for a client. Website A will continue to exist minus those 10 pages. Website B now has the moved 10 pages plus additional pages and content. The problem is that in the import-export, not all the media and links updated properly. Yeah. So class, did you use the WordPress import-export, like the core tool to do this? Yeah, that's why. That tool sucks. That's why WP All Import still, like, that's why they exist. And you get this whole issue because it doesn't do a good job importing media correctly. Looks like half the images loading from the old site. So here's the question for you. Are the images in the new site's media library already? Okay. So I just dropped in the link to this plugin. This is what I would use if I'm ever, well, we would use WPL import. Use that if you've got it. If you don't have it, then this is the next best thing. Export media with selected content. This will actually get the content and update it correctly on the new site. If it's already in there and the train has left the station, so to speak, and the new pages are there, it's probably easier to just do like a search replace and update the old URL to the new URL. The only problem here is if you had folders, so like media folders, date and time, date, year, month, day folders, is that selected? If it was, then you just need to update the files manually. Oh, there's no folders? If there's no folders, you might be able to get away with it with a search replace. Just look at the URL on site B where it is now and see if it does. All you need to do is just update the URL. There you go. And if it's I was just heading there. Melanie's always one thought ahead of me in the chat. Since it's just 10 pages, you will have a higher chance of messing things up if you try to do a search replace than just go in there and fix it. Unless there's like 500 images on every page. So there's a lot of pictures on the pages. Class, is this in a page builder or is it like in the block editor? How are they built? Okay, so then do this. Go into if it's in Cadence and you're using blocks, then go into the edit page mode in the code mode. Let's just get a page open here, which hopefully we can at some point. All right, so let's view the code editor. All right, and so just copy all this and put it in your text editor of choice and do your search replace in here. Then you can just paste this right back in and see if that works. I think I would try to do that before I would do like a full database search and replace. Does that make sense? Okay. Let us keep rolling here. We're getting close to the top of the hour, and I do have a hard stop today at the top of the hour. Tanya is next. Now that you are working with a hosting platform, what are the chances of adding the hosting portion of an agency to the starter website live stream or standalone live stream? What to buy, how to set it up, maintenance. Okay, well, we just happen to have done that already. So if you go to replays.myagencysuccess.com and you scroll right down here to the Agency Success Hosting Blueprint, you will find a live stream that talks all about that, hosting options and how to build a care plan around hosting options and that sort of thing. You will also discover, if I can type correctly, in the downloads link, the Agency Success Hosting Blueprint, gigantic PDF file. What's only 10 pages? I thought it was bigger than that. But there's a whole download on this as well. I'll just copy the link for you here in the chat. We talk all about that there. There you go. So does that answer your question, Tanya? Basically, what kind of hosting to buy, when to think about managed WordPress like Rocket.net versus a VPS or a VDS. Yeah, that we talk all through that. There's some great Q&A at the end of that one as well. All right, last question, and we will wrap things up. And this one comes from Beth Livingston. Beth says, I recently installed Adminify to control the admin menu, but it hosed certain Elementor functions, so I deleted it, but the admin menu is still shifting slightly when I click on it. How do you get rid of all remnants of a plugin? That's a great question. It should be when you delete Adminify, it should just go away. If it didn't, that's weird. All plugins should live in their own discrete folder in the WP content /plugins folder. And when you delete it, it should be gone and that's it. All of its code should be there. So I don't know why it would be still shifting. Yeah, it could be caching. Dump all the caches. Try it in a different browser. See if that helps. If it is, then it's your browser cache. If you're behind Cloudflare, flush all the Cloudflare caches. If you have any sort of WordPress-based cache, make sure all that is flushed. Oh, Stacy, dump the Elementor cache too. Thank you. That's good. It's got to be caching. I didn't have a really good experience with Adminify. We tested it and played with it. It just didn't seem like a good solution for us. Yeah. Okay. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of today's questions. I see a question in the Q&A from Zoom from Corey. Sorry about that, Corey. I didn't see that until just now. Corey says, I'm an agency owner with many hosting accounts, including reseller accounts. Does hosting.com offer discounts for bulk or high volume hosting purchases? Yeah, Corey. Okay, so let me go back to, I would recommend that you watch or scrub through this agency success hosting blueprint, because I sort of lay out how I, as an agency, have built my hosting services around what hosting.com is offering. I've done it this way for years. Hosting.com is where we have our server now. So I talk through all of that and the different components of a care plan and how that can all fit. And yes, there are discounts for bulk and volume and that sort of thing. What I'm going to suggest is, I shared this link a minute ago, but in the, let's see if I can find it here. The very last page of this guide, I'm going to drop the link in again real quick. As part of agency success, one thing we give you access to is your own dedicated hosting, your agency advocate, right? And so Mike Demo is the partnerships lead for North America with hosting.com. He's a personal friend. I've known him for years. He knows his stuff. Not only is he really smart on the hosting side, he's also has a past with agencies and understands client work. And so you can call him at that number or scan that code and schedule a time to talk through all the options that hosting.com offers and which is going to be the best fit for your agency. You're not going to get a hard sell from him. He's going to talk to you and ask questions and figure out what the right solution is. So this is what I'd recommend right here. Melanie's recommending a VDS. That's what we went with, the virtual dedicated server. A lot of reasons for that. And we just put all of our clients on that one server that we control. And I talk through the logic behind all of that in that live stream, this agency success hosting blueprint. So again, you can find that here on the YouTube replay channel. All right. Good deal. Yeah, talk to Demo and he'll get you all straightened out. Well, folks, thanks for hanging out with me for the last week. Hope you have a great weekend. I will see you on Tuesday for that WooCommerce live stream. And then, of course, again, Thursday for office hours here on hosting.com's Agency Success, where we go further together.